Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today, we are going to discuss about vulnerability management system. It is one of the most important topic of cyber security when we talk about security operations center. So it is one of the prime ingredient or prime role or task of security operations center where there is a vulnerability management system is need to be developed or existing system is being used to understand the vulnerabilities that are already existing within the system. So let's start today's lecture. So the lecture consists of what is vulnerability, what are the main prime definition of vulnerability management system. Then there are different stages that are involved in vulnerability management system. We will discuss each one of them and what are the best practices for evaluating the vulnerabilities present within the system. So security operation system have number of tools that are being used by security analysts to examine the performance of the existing infrastructure, existing endpoints. So those solution have some vulnerabilities that are already existing within the software, either it is operating system, firmware, or any other application. So if you see NIST cybersecurity framework or critical infrastructure cybersecurity version 1.1, you see the vulnerability management, and it is the part of enforcing the critical infrastructure cybersecurity. So its importance, we can understand the importance of this topic with the prime place in cybersecurity framework. So if you want to know the wellness of your cybersecurity infrastructure, you see how many vulnerabilities that are present in your system. So your information security is directly proportional to the how much secure your system is. Higher the vulnerabilities, lower will be the security. Lower the vulnerabilities, higher will be the security. So you see that there is an inverse relation between the vulnerability and security. Vulnerability management is a key service of your security operation center. So there is a secure score that is being assigned based on evaluating the vulnerability. It is an iterative process that follows to make sure all the vulnerability that exist in your environment are remediated in timely fashion. So that is basically the vulnerability management. So vulnerability management is an iterative process in which all the vulnerabilities that are present in your environment are being uh, understand and they are being removed in timely fashion. So there is a time box window that is involved in removal of these vulnerabilities. Okay. So these are the stages that are involved in vulnerability management system. First of all, there is discovery of asset inventory, information management, risk assessment, vulnerability assessment, report and remediation, and response. So each one of these uh, tasks are important, and there should be same sequence should be applied to remove the vulnerability and manage the vulnerability in systematic way. If we see that the discovery of your assets is the prime objective, means you have to know how many endpoints that are connected to your network and how many endpoint can be any device that are based or part of your enterprise. So any system or device that are present in your system are your endpoints. So let's see what is. uh, discovery model. In discovery model, you can't protect an entity which you cannot aware of. So first of all, you have to be aware of how many devices, endpoints, and networks that are present in your system. Those can be identity as well, like the persons, the users, how many users are present in your enterprise. They are using your resources, they are coming inside your enterprise. So there should be a asset inventory management tool that can maintain the record of all the identity, all the user account, all the services they are using on, based on their grade, based on their privilege that are being allowed to them. So you have to maintain that identity list, all the record of their user. Then you have to know about the endpoints. What are the devices that are present in your enterprise? How many of them are using Linux as an operating system? How many of them are using Ubuntu as their operating system? How many of them are using Microsoft? So you have to maintain each and everything. How many devices are present? How many virtual machines are there? What are the servers? What are their configuration? Either they are on premises or you are using on the cloud. So you have to maintain the asset or inventory of each and everything. Then there should be a record of the networks that are present in your enterprise. How many of them are private networks you are using? What are the configuration you are using for that? Are you using a firewall, and what are the configuration for the firewall? How many ports or which ports are being allowed, and which resources or applications are attached with those ports? So you have to maintain a complete detailed dictionary of all the asset to know how many devices are present in your enterprise. Okay, then device discovery consists of two parts. It can be your IT devices, yeah, information technology devices. User can one of them. Then there are networks that are associated with information technology. There are certain apps that are using certain users that are using your apps. There are devices that are present in your premises or on cloud. So there are also operational technologies that are also the part of discovery model, like operational technology consists of CCTV cameras or sensors. So you have to onboard to their respective security solution. You have to onboard, if you have to know which vendors, the OT solution, if you are using OT solution, what are the vendors for those OT solution? And by knowing the vendor, you can understand which vulnerabilities are present on those hardware, the firmware of that hardware. These are the list of vulnerabilities that are already exist. So that information management, then we perform information management. What kind of information management is being performed? That is being collected from the assets. So you have to keep the record of all the events, maintain the logs of your OT and IT devices, assets that you have discovered and onboarded to respective security solution. So it depends upon the solution, the SOC solution you are using. So, based on the type of SOC you are using, there are different kind of vulnerabilities that can appear. Now let's consider that you are using one of the SOC solution at your enterprise, and that only can detect about the vulnerabilities that are present in your operating system. So, what do you think? That a SOC solution is well enough? No, that SOC is not well enough because we have to know the complete list of vulnerabilities, not only about the operating system. We also want to know about the vulnerabilities that are present in firmware, that are present in all the applications that are present in your infrastructures, and all the users that are using those applications and operating systems. So we have to need a complete detail information about each and everything with their event logs. And then we have to know uh, the devices or the SOC solution. There are certain SOCs that are present for only for the endpoint, and there are SOC solutions that are present for entire network. They scan port for all the devices that are present or attached with your network. So that is how these solutions help us to understand the vulnerabilities that are already present. So how we can know about the vulnerabilities? Because if I'm using a Microsoft, there are certain kind of vulnerabilities that are being already known and already published online. So, for example, Microsoft system have SMP vulnerability, and that is one of the door back for the hackers to get into your system. So this vulnerability is already known and its database is already being maintained. So if your infrastructure is having 20 Linux and 10 Windows system, so you know that these 10 should be also scanned for the vulnerability of SMP uh, vulnerability. If it is present, then you know you have to remove it. So higher the information or higher the depth of your data analytics, more security information you can extract from these SOC solution or these tools that are attached with the endpoints and network level. So it will provide deep analytics is available at each entry layer. Now then come the risk assessment. As the name suggests, so risk is every vulnerability that exists in your environment will have same impact. So it's not like that. Every vulnerability have different impact, because if, for example, let's consider with the help of scenario, like I have a file server that is present in my data center of my enterprise, and it's used in production stage. Like we have a website that is running on that server, but I have a standalone system which is also a file server, and it's having the vulnerability, both having the same vulnerability. One is having in data center server, file server, and second is having in standalone system. So my SOC solution will automatically tell me that these vulnerabilities are present in your file server. It will uh, give me the alert that these vulnerability exist in sandbox and this vulnerability exists in data center. Now, based on their risk, these vulnerabilities are being prioritized. So data center vulnerability is more crucial because it's running in the production stage. So we prioritize the vulnerability based on the impact which it can result in is risk assessment. This is known as risk assessment. This process can be a manual. You can manually assign the priority score to your vulnerability, or there are certain automated tools that can already assign a flag to your vulnerability. So you have to select from your based on your knowledge or based on the priority of the asset for your enterprise. You can change the priority of the vulnerability score, priority score that is being assigned by the SOC tool. Okay. So this security solution will out of the box capability, like it's using the existing databases, like how to which vulnerability is having a high risk, which vulnerabilities is. So it's just like a dictionary. So it will see in the dictionary that this vulnerability is having a security risk of high, medium, or low, and then this SOC solution will tell you. But you can also give your input that defining the high value assets based on your requirement. So that is how you can customize the SOC solution based on your preferences. Then comes vulnerability assessment. So, for example, you are using your enterprise is using a SOC tool, and there is a SOC analyst whose responsibility is to evaluate the vulnerability and assign them a risk score based on their the assets that are important for the enterprise. They can be a high risk, that can be a medium risk, or that can be a low risk. So, based on that information, they assign a score to your vulnerability. Then there is a IT software management tool, and its responsibility is to gather this information from the SOC analyst and perform automatic operation to further remediate and report the vulnerability. Like IT software management solution will assign the severity level of the incident. Either the incident is being happened, uh, if incident happen, what will be the severity level. So these level are being automated by ITSM. So there might be multiple SOC solution you are using in your enterprise. One of them was from Microsoft Defender, one of them was from Fortnite, and other is from McAfee. And these SOC tools are being integrated in one form, and your SOC analyst will just evaluate the scores that are being given from the SOC solution, and then this entire process should be automated. If you are working in some enterprise and this solution is not automated, it's your responsibility to automate this process. Then comes report and remediate. For example, vulnerability is being present, and you know this vulnerability is present, and severity of the incident or the event is being assigned to the event. Then you have to report each and every vulnerability. You have to suggest what would be the possible remedy for it. So, SOC analyst will check the vulnerability. Let assume it's a SOC security upgrade required for the OS. For example, there is a new version that overcome the previous vulnerabilities. So, SOC analyst will perform the update for the OS. Then SOC analyst required an IT task to get issue of remediated. IT team contact the user and issue its remediated. So the entire team will work together and suggest what would be the possible solution for it. For example, if you are using a tool which is placed in the data center, and vulnerability exists, so your team can suggest that restart the servers. So each and everything should be registered in ITMS as a case. And once the vulnerability is being scanned, discovered, and risk is being assigned to it, risk score is being assigned to it, it's been communicated to the IT team to remove this vulnerability and to suggest the possible solution for that vulnerability. Once it's done, then the team will evaluate that these vulnerability was already existing, and now we have to remove those vulnerability, and now the case has been closed. We have tested the solution, now this vulnerability is not present in it. So the ITSM, the IT software management tool, will ensure that these systems are fulfilling it and task is completed for the SOC analyst. So that is how your reports is being generated. Same as the security patch required a reboot. So you are using some operating system, and uh, you know that SMP vulnerability is being present in this system, and you know that after 15 May there will be a patch that is being mm, launched by Microsoft to update the Windows 11. So it will automatically update on 15th, and ask the ITMS team to is system is allowed to reboot itself. So security patch required reboot. So now the SOC analyst is the one who have to take the solution, have to finalize the report and give the concluding remark that security patch required reboot. There might be some other observation or the results that is being suggested by the SOC analyst and IT team. So you have to report the vulnerability, assign scope of the risk, and then take the concluding remarks. So it's not just about getting the security patch deployed. Remediation action can be a manual process, it can be a semi-automatic, and it can be an automatic. So, being a computer scientist or computer related to information technology, it's our responsibility to convert everything that is manual into automatic system. So, if there is some part of it is manual and some part of it is automatic, so it's our responsibility to make a complete seamless model taking input from multiple SOC solutions and giving the output of the SOC solution to your ITSM, uh, IT software management tool, and then take action. So, how you are going to respond? This information should be divided into tasks. Like what would be the flow chart? How you are going to take action? How you are going to remove those vulnerability? Either you are going to hire some manufacturer, or your in-house team is skilled to remove those vulnerabilities from your system and make the information security infrastructure more strong. So, building intelligence, weekly task of the report analysis. How many vulnerabilities are repetitive? They are occurring again and again. How many vulnerabilities you have stable remediation action? How many manual remediation action can be automated? So that is how you are going to respond back for the report or remediation steps that are being suggested by the SOC analyst and IT team. Uh, so that is how you are going to respond for each of these vulnerabilities and remove all the manual function into automatic one. Okay, so there are mainly two steps. First is detect, and detect you have to discover. You have to maintain the information management. Rem Risk assessment is being performed. Vulnerability assessment is being performed. Then, in case of respond, you have to report and remediate and respond for the vulnerability. Thank you so much.